Hello, hello, hello. Good morning, everybody. Whoop, whoop. All right, so here's the deal. I've got my friend Debbie De Grote. She's going to come on here in just a second, and we are going to talk about kind of 10 different methods to go find that next listing. Hi, Jim. Thank you for checking in. I appreciate that. Let's do this before we bring Debbie on here and we start talking about some of these ideas. I want you guys to check in. Go find the chat panel, and Jem found it already. I want you to let me know, like, you check in. There's Anthony. He's up in Vancouver. Let me know where you're from, but let me know, where'd your last listing come from? And, you know, if the industry averages are going to, hi, Mark, if the industry averages are going to play out in this room, right, and there's enough of you guys to get an average in here, a lot of what we're going to hear is past clients and referrals, right? Like 60 some odd % of listings in any given year come from your past clients and referrals. And I'm sure Debbie's going to touch on some element of that. Oh, here we go. Here comes Debbie. So what do you guys say? From a friend? Yeah, that's a referral, right? Jen, awesome, from her radio ads that she runs out there in Memphis. That's fantastic. I know Ben's team runs lots of radio ads here in the Seattle area. We definitely pick up a listing from those every now and then. Hi, Jamie in Vancouver Island, past client. Okay. Awesome. William says, I haven't gotten my first listing yet, Debbie, but that's why William's here today. So awesome. That's fantastic. Teresa from social media. That's amazing. So Teresa, I'm curious, like, from somebody you knew on social media, from somebody that you didn't know, like some kind of advertising you were running or something. And Debbie, you know, we see a lot of what I would expect to see, which is they're getting them from past clients, from their sphere, right? I mean, a major percentage of our business for anybody, listings, buyers in any given year across our entire industry, comes from our sphere and our past clients. That's amazing, Teresa. That's awesome. You picked up somebody from social media that you did not know. That's fantastic. All right, so here's my friend Debbie. You guys see her jump on the screen now. I always, Debbie's like very professional, and I am the antithesis of that. So we balance each other out really well here, Debbie. You guys, you can see Debbie's bona fides on here. You know, one of the things that she doesn't tout on the bona fides here that I think is really impressive is Debbie De Grote was Ben Kinney's first coach. And so Ben owns Brivity. You know, the Ben Kinney team, they were, I don't know, number 1 or 2 largest team in the United States last year, and the number 1 team inside of Keller Williams. Debbie, we did, you know, Ben's team did just over 3,000 transactions last year, and they're pushing for 5,000 this year. Right. And he'll tell anybody that'll listen that you were the catalyst in his career in many ways, and that first coach that he had. So I'm excited to have you here today. I mean,
thank you. You're right. I am serious and professional. It's funny. I called Ben yesterday, and you know he's very busy. He answered the phone. I said, wow, I feel like I got through to the president. He said, oh, you're so silly. I said, you know, Ben, that's not usually a phrase people would say about me. Right, guys. So thank you for being with us. I know your life is very busy. Lots of crazy things happening right now in your world, and trying to school your children if you have children, and spouses may be working at home, and all sorts of nutty things to navigate. And yet, you know, who would have guessed? You know, Ben and I were talking about this the other day. In January, if someone had told us what was ahead for us in the year, I think we would have all ran screaming for the hills. And yet it's been good, right? It's been very good. Except not enough listings. So that's why we wanted to talk about this important topic. And, you know, before we get started, Bob, what's great to see is the variety of sources of where their listings are coming from. And, you know, you've heard Ben say, a two-legged stool won't stand. Yeah. And yet, as I've spent the last 20 years coaching some of the best in the nation, what I've discovered is it's very common that agents will have 1 or 2 methods to go get business, to go get listings. And that won't sustain you. That won't sustain you through different cycles. You may have a phase where suddenly you're a geographic farmer, but no one is moving. Well, you can't just wait for a listing. So that's why we really hope that as you guys prepare for the year ahead, that you'll identify 3 quality sources, then a 4th, then a 5th, and Ben says maybe even a 6th potentially. So
I know somebody has his 6th. Radio is one of his that falls into that last 6th bucket. And that 6th bucket's always different, but sorry.
Yeah, and no, that's perfect. And I think the thing to think about as we jump right in here today too, is we're going to go pretty quickly. You know, Bob may throw some ideas in. He's got lots of experience and contact with agents across the country. We'll put as many ideas on the table for you as we can, and yet don't feel the pressure to do them all. Because you see, one of the things at Forward Coaching that we believe in is the custom side of coaching, meaning that every one of you are unique, your skills are unique, your market opportunities are unique. And if you find the things that suit you best and you lock a solid plan to do those, you're more likely to actually do them, right? So that's why I want to go right into this saying, we're going to put it's sort of like the buffet of old days, right, Bob? The buffets that will probably never come back again.
Hey, Debbie, I'm devastated by that, by the way.
Yes.
In a time past, my wife and I used to go to Vegas and have a little fun on the tables. But we don't do that anymore. We've gone to Vegas probably the last 3 times simply to eat at buffets. I'm devastated if they don't come back, Debbie.
No more buffets. Yep.
Oh,
so guys, I think we'd all agree buyers are great, right? I have nothing against buyers. In fact, I started at the age of 18 selling houses. So I worked with a lot of first-time buyers. It was terrific because thanks to the good advice of my broker about following up and marketing to them ongoing, they later became sellers, sometimes many times over. So we're not chumping the buyers. It's almost easy, though, to get buyers. I mean, if you've got listings, the buyers are going to find you. And the great thing about listings is you have more control, right? You can control your schedule a little bit better. You might be home on a day off, and buyer agents are out there showing and selling your listings. I want to suggest something, Bob, too, that's not in the deck, but I want to put this out there on the table. Maybe it's a little controversial, but I'm going to throw it out there anyhow. I've talked to a lot of big brokers across the nation, and they are encouraging their agents that when you are the listing agent, if you can get a significantly higher rate of commission, and in your market, there's an acceptable fee that the buyer agents are used to working for, then maybe you do take a larger portion. So I'll give you an example. This broker was talking about, we encourage our agents get 6% if you can. We know commission is not, it's negotiable. We know we can't price fix, and yet they can go in and present their services and try to negotiate. If they get 6%, keep 3.5, give 2.5 to selling agent, because in their market, the selling agents are working for 2 to 2.5. So they're very happy with 2.5. So when you are hunting these listings, you're marketing to get them, you're marketing to sell them, you're doing the lion's share of the work. As long as we pay enough incentive to that buyer agent to be attractive in that market, you might even as a listing agent make a little bit more money. And there really wouldn't be anything wrong with that. Right, Bob? We just want to do the right thing so it makes that listing attractive, and we would certainly never want to harm your seller.
I'm a capitalist, so I agree.
Okay, got it. So when you have listings, you also have opportunities to create additional deals around each listing. Here's a mistake I see agents often making. They're rushing the listing to market. So they're listing it on a Monday, they're throwing it on the market on a Tuesday, and it's sold on a Wednesday. Well, we certainly want to collaborate with our sellers. We want to do what they want us to do. We want to do what's right for them. And yet, wouldn't it be better for them to say, can I have the week? Can I have the week to be able to, build some strategy around this, to prepare a great launch, to contact leads in my pipeline, to maybe come and do a virtual open house and put it out on Facebook Live. can I do some things to launch this in a big way? And then we can hear offers on potentially Monday or Tuesday. I think you'd find most sellers would agree. I know I read an article the other day that said that Redfin had researched and said best day to go to market is Thursday. So for attention and traction. So just think about that. Be strategic. There is a saying that's been a real estate saying forever, which is a sign will generate another sign. And you know, it's so funny, Bob. It's so true. We were talking to some neighbors out in our street, you know, socially distanced, of course, on the weekend. Oh. And there was a house on the corner that just sold, right? You look like a bandit. You look like Jesse James or something.
See me when
right?
I pull this up? It's camo,
yeah.
You know. I don't know.
You look like Jesse James. So anyhow, they said they were talking about how this house sold and it sold for a really high price. And just listening to them say, yeah, I've been kind of thinking and maybe I should, and prices are at a peak. So when it's like dropping that, you know, that rock in a pond of water, that ripple effect. So we want to work around that listing. Now, one great way to do that is when you sell it and you sell it with multiple bids. Don't send out a just sold that says just sold. Instead say just sold, you know, over asking. Let's say it had 10 offers. We have 9 leftover buyers, qualified, ready to buy, will allow you to move when you choose. If you have an interest in selling, contact me. Maybe one of them are a match, right? So we want to try to get you another listing.
Debbie, I have a comment really quick
sure.
on that Thursday. I come from the tech side of real estate, and so I'm keenly aware, like when you launch a property on a Monday, and think about what happens when you put a property in the MLS, right? It goes out to all those websites. There are, you know, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of real estate agents that have their clients set up on these listing alerts, right? And those listing alerts key off automatically. And so it's like Monday they're getting this property. Most people are going to have to wait then, Debbie, for 4 or 5 days for that weekend to come before they can get out and see that property. I mean, super, super motivated buyers might get out there Monday night or something,
sure.
right? But and then think about it, if they're not going to head out there to, let's say they're going to an open house, they're kind of you know, they're pretty ready, but they're not like ready to. All those other houses that come on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, they have a chance to get mind share over your listing that you dropped on Monday. So I look, Redfin, they love or hate Redfin. I think they're an amazing company in terms of like they do the data they have and that they crunch. And I trust their survey saying that Thursday is the best way to do it. And when my technological brain thinks about it, I think there's a lot of reasons why that adds up.
Yeah, there is some, you know, just kind of makes sense. And I think it's great to do the best we can for your seller to create that wave of momentum, right? So we're not saying you're withholding it from the market to sell it yourself. We're saying you're doing the right thing for your seller to have time to launch it, to get exposure, which in the meantime may give you buyer and seller leads that you come across in your marketing. So don't rush it to market. Oops, sorry about that, guys. Give yourself time thoroughly to prepare, launch it at the end of the week. And if you're going to do a virtual open house, ask the sellers to promote it to their friends. Now, this seems so simple, but the virtual open houses, I know agents sometimes get a little discouraged because they say, gosh, I'm not getting a lot of traffic on my virtual open house. But guess what? If you do get a few people to watch and it's out there and it's evergreen and you can post it and reuse it, and if you say to your seller, you know, I'm going to do this virtual open house for you, and it'd be really awesome if you would promote it on your Facebook to your friends and ask your friends to help you get your home sold by sharing it. So your seller is going to be proactive about that because, of course, they want to show off their house and try to find a buyer. And if nothing more comes of it, then your seller's friends hear your name and maybe somehow that turns into a referral, right? So let's get the sellers involved if you're doing those virtual open houses. Now, here's what I am hearing too on the virtual open houses, which, by the way, guys, this is not just a COVID thing. See, when COVID hit, like first hit, Ben and I started thinking, how are we going to, help people stay in business and do their business, and what ideas can we bring to the table? So I started doing a lot of research on virtual open houses. I discovered that some agents have been doing them for a very long time, maybe even some of you. And it wasn't instead of regular open house, it was in addition to. And they were often running these virtual open houses during the week. And a popular time was lunchtime during the week. So again, lunchtime at the end of the week, because people were watching thinking, okay, I want to see, what do I want to look at on the weekend? Now, here's what I've discovered though. There's no bait. So people are saying to me, I'm getting people watching these, but they're coming through Facebook Live. I don't have any way of capturing their information. So I'm not really getting any leads out of it. And at the end of the open house, I'm telling them, call me if they want to talk to me, but they're not calling me. And they're probably not going to. So there's something in marketing called the cheese and the whiskers. See, the mouse wants the cheese, but the mouse wants to stay away from the whiskers, which is the cat. And you guys, we are the cat, okay? So they don't want to call you because they don't know you yet, or they're not sure how interested they're in. So they are. So instead, offer a tip sheet. Sit down and put together, like, what are the 10 things you need to know when buying or selling a property in the fall and winter of 2020, right? Or you could say the 10 things you need to know to take advantage of the market opportunities in the fall and winter of 2020. And guys, don't overdo your thinking on this tip sheet. Just literally sit down and think, if Bob asked me that, what would I say to Bob? I'd say, well, you should do this, you should do this, you should do this. You make a tip sheet. Quite frankly, they may never even read the tip sheet. We're just trying to get them to request it. So that way you can say, you can request this by going to my landing page, www.besttipsever, or you can text me at, or you can email me for the tip sheet. Give them one method though. Too many methods is confusing. And remember, we don't know when they're joining or when they're leaving. So if you're doing, let's say, a 10-minute virtual tour, offer your tip sheet multiple times throughout the tour. So you've got to have some bait. And if they email you to get it, yes, I'd like the tip sheet. What many of our clients, Bob, are doing is they'll email back and say, great, here it is. By the way, what's the best number to text links to hot buy properties for you? So they're not saying for me to call you at, but to text hot buy properties for you. And they're finding that about 25% of the time, the people will send a number. So not 100% of the time, and yet, hey, 25%, it's better than nothing. So it could be things you need to know when buying or selling a home in the second half of 2020. So when they email you to request it, ask for that cell phone. And also, here's another way to find additional listings and deals. This is one of my old tried and true methods. I always kept on my desk my little list of my past clients. Now I had them in my CRM, but I would do a one-line printout, name, address, phone number. So A to Z, had my list. So when I would get a new listing, I would sit down and I would just literally do this, that one. Then I would turn the page and I would go, that one. And I would set a goal that every new listing I would take, I need to find 5 past clients or sphere that I can call and tell about the home. So I might know that Bob's wife would love to move to a bigger house and Bob doesn't want to spend the money. So I don't know that Bob is going to buy this listing. Probably he may not. However, what's the harm in calling and saying, hey, Bob, I know you're reluctant to move. I know your wife would love to. This is actually an amazing house. Before it gets too far into the marketing, would you guys like to take a look at it? Now, if Bob says, no, I'm not interested, that's okay. At least Bob knows I'm thinking of him. When I've had clients do this and they did it very faithfully, they significantly increased their opportunity to double end properties. And I get it. Some of you may say, well, I don't like to double in my own stuff. However, you may have a partner in the office that you kick it to and you get a referral fee, however you choose to do it. But don't we owe it to our past clients in our sphere to put significant opportunities in front of them? You know, absolutely. After all, you are their wise advisor.
Debbie, right? Really quick, before you move away from that, there's the one guy here who says he's waiting on his first listing. That's a strategy you could actually use anytime your office took a listing, right? Like
Absolutely.
Calling your sphere and your past clients when your office has a great listing, which is probably every day, by the way. And you can call 5 today, Debbie. And if you're really aggressive and you didn't have many listings, you can call 5 tomorrow, right?
Yes.
So I love those strategies. And then real quick too, I placed in the chat, you guys, two webinars that we've done on hosting a virtual open house, like end to end, how you do it, what software you use, like talking about things. I think they're called a gimbal, the little thing that like stabilizes your cell phone as you're moving through the house. So there's 2 YouTube links in there. If virtual open houses is something you haven't tried yet or you haven't perfected them yet, there's some good resources there for you guys to dig in on.
And on that note, I get it, guys, that again, the virtual open houses aren't the end all be all. You may only get a handful of viewers to watch it. And yet you do need to go out and see property every day anyhow. So if you have friends in the office that have listings, maybe they're vacant or, you know, seller doesn't live there, you can get in easily. You can say, hey, can I go look at the property? And while I'm there, can I do a quick little virtual open house? You know, why not, right? Because if nothing else, you're out, you're seeing property, you're connecting with people, it's out there in the universe, who knows who will find it, right?
You're publishing it on Facebook, so at the very least, your friends are like, oh, she's busy, she's out.
She's busy.
Every third day, she's in a new listing, like, holy cow.
And they don't know that they're not your listings and you're not lying and saying they are. And I don't know that they even care, right? You're just, hey, here I am at this great property, you know, let's take a quick walkthrough. So once it sells, we already talked about this. I think it's really important though, remember the message. If they are not interested in you, if they don't know you, if they already have a friend in real estate and they're thinking of selling their house, but they get a postcard that says, would you like a safe, quiet, and quick sale to a qualified buyer who will pay the highest price the market will bear and will allow you to move when you choose. We just sold this property, $25,000 over list price. We have 9 leftover buyers. Contact me, maybe one is a match. I mean, that's pretty straightforward, right, guys? So it is working. Now, will anything you send make the phone ring off the hook? No. If you said, I'm giving away free money, I don't think the phone would ring off the hook, right? However, if you said, what's the most impactful message that if they already have a real estate agent might sidetrack them and get them to call me, they would say, well, I need to check that box. I'll call. Hey, I'll ask Bob, do you have a buyer? You know, I have a 5-bedroom and this is what I want. And that at least gives Bob an opportunity to get into the conversation, right? And it does work. You know, my husband and I owned some units that we had for years, Bob, and they were not in a good neighborhood, bought them on a foreclosure. And they were okay. They made us money, but I didn't really like them. And we kept saying, we need to sell them. We need to sell them. They were outside of Don's market, not really a market he wanted to work And so my husband Don wasn't going to list them. So we just kept putting it off. We get a letter. I work the area. I just recently sold these other 3 apartment buildings. I believe I have a buyer for yours. Call me if you want to sell. Don called him. He listed it with him and it sold, right? So
I think
it works.
One of the reasons why postcards, and by the way, like shameless plug coming right here. Brivity has a postcard tool, right? It's called Brivity Marketer. And we automatically take your listed, your just listeds and your just solds, and we build campaigns for you, whether you decide to send them or not, based on the MLS data. But those, and then we take an AI list, Debbie. We don't just send to 300 homes around that listing. We actually target the most likely 300 homes. So we're looking at the people that have they bought 6 years ago, right? Okay. Or like we're not sending a postcard to the guy next door that just bought that house last month. So postcard marketing, it's one of these things where you have to do it consistently. But when you're consistently sending to an area, and we know that people buy and sell every 7 to 9 years, like somebody in that area is buying or selling this year. Right. And in your Don example, that just landed at the right time.
It just landed at the right time.
Yeah.
It just landed at the right time. Otherwise, he probably would have listed it himself and partnered with someone in the area, but it was just the hassle. Like there are so many conversations, guys, going on in the minds of people. You know it. You know, when I look at, I want to look at some of the places here that everyone is from. So like I heard that Vancouver, there's some outskirts. Where was I talking to? Campbell? There's some outskirts of Seattle that people from Vancouver are moving to. I know Texas. You know, we have a property in Coeur d'Alene, Idaho, and I'm seeing all sorts of Texas license plates there. Californians, they're going to Tennessee. They're going all over the place. So there's so much movement in the market right now. And also people who were sitting in their houses during the COVID lockdown. It's too big. It's too small. I want to be near my grandchildren, or sadly, maybe I can't stand my spouse and I want a divorce. Divorces are expected to be very high this next year. And on the nicer side, lots of babies born, right? Yeah. So there's just a lot of movement in neighborhoods and in your database. So whenever you do your marketing, you can 5 times the power of that by calling behind that postcard. So you'll have to do different things to find phone numbers. Bob, I don't know if things you suggest.
Mojosells.com is where you could go. Mojo's a dialer where you can go in there and drop a pin on a map. And so, you know, if you did a postcard campaign out of Brivity Marketer, you could go into Mojo and kind of, you know, canvas that same area. And like you said, Debbie, that call becomes increasingly easier when the opening line is, hey, we sent you a postcard recently about the house we just sold. I just wanted to see if you guys had a chance to put your eyes on that. And oh, by the way, we have 9 buyers looking for a house in this neighborhood. We're looking for listings, right? Are you guys thinking about selling? So, I mean, there's something in marketing, Debbie, where it's like the repeated messages over and over from different angles amplify any one of those given messages, right? So, I mean, this is a perfect example of that.
Well, and something else we should talk about, you know, window of opportunity. So when COVID hit and there was so much confusion about it, and what I noticed a lot of agents immediately did is they stopped all their direct mail marketing. You know, is it safe? Will it have the COVID germs on it? To this day, I don't know. You know, do the germs live on it? Do they live for 3 days? Do they live for 7 days? I don't know. And yet most of our top clients never missed a beat with their direct mail marketing, because their thought was, it's just natural that others will back away. Yeah. So this gives me a chance to get additional traction and recognition in my market, and they're going to get mail. They're getting packages delivered from Amazon, food delivered from Grubhub. So if they want to leave it on the counter for a week until it's safe, if they want to spray it with Lysol before they touch it, they're still going to get it. And I was just thinking about this the other day because I live in Newport Beach and it's a very aggressively marketed area. My neighborhood especially has probably 6 pretty significant geographic farmers. I was thinking of this today. I can't think of the last time I got anything in the mail from any one of them. So guys,
I live in a bedroom community in Seattle. It's called Kenmore, Washington. I get mail from one real estate agent. His name's Chris. He works at Windermere. I could pick him out if I walked by him on the street. I recognize his face. And listen, I have access, Debbie, to more real estate data than any consumer out there, right? I grab that postcard, and every single time I walk in my house, and what it has on it is like the 10 closest houses to mine in Kenmore that sold in the last month.
Right.
And it's just price, bedrooms, bathroom, square foot. And every single time I take it in and I show my wife, Erin, I'm like, Erin, look at this. You see this one? This one sold for $785, right? Like, holy cow, can you believe that? And we have a little conversation around it. And look, if I list, I'm going to list with Ben Kinney, right? But everybody else in my neighborhood is being exposed to this guy month after month with really valuable information. So there's a lot of power.
Yeah, and I do the same. There is a guy, he hasn't done it since COVID hit, that would send that same type of report, and it would lay by the coffee maker until Dawn could look at it, and we'd talk about it, comment on it, maybe drive by one of them. So they love to get that type of thing. And I think, of course, that's why the Brivity market reports are so valuable when it comes to past clients in Sphere, right? They know about those, right, Bob? Because I know our clients love them.
I hope they do. If you don't know about Brivity market reports, you should email me at bob@benkinney. I'll give you an earful. Here, I got one other thing around postcard marketing, because what if I don't have any listings? Here's a tactic that our teams use. In our Brivity marketer tool, if we are the buying agent and we help somebody buy a house, we will actually send out just sold postcards as the buyer's agent. So we'll represent the fact that we just sold this house, because we did. And then we will have, if we competed with 4 of their offers and we won, right? We were the 5th offer and we won. We'll use the leverage of that in that postcard. So you don't have to be sending just sold postcards only when you're the listing agent. We do it when we're the buyer's agent as well.
And do we have to, in some states, ask the listing agent's permission for that?
Please follow all local regulations.
You may want to double check. But usually you can find someone, or even if you have a friend in the office and they don't normally work a particular area and they get a listing there and they have no interest in marketing around it, and you say, hey, can I go ahead and do that? And of course, for those of you working with buyers, a great way to find property for your buyer, and it may be coming up in the deck, I'm sorry, I can't remember, is just get into a habit of sending 100 I have a buyer letters out to properties that you profile or choose as right for them. Now, I know in some parts of the country this does not work for you, but in West Coast and much of the country, you could go to your title rep and say, I want this many bedrooms, this much square footage in this area, pull everyone that fits that profile. That's what my buyer wants, and I'm going to send 100 letters. Now, I think there was just an NAR ruling. I just heard about this yesterday, haven't had a chance to check it out, that says you can't say your buyer's name or put a picture, which quite frankly, I think is a little weird anyhow, but you can tell their story. He's a dentist, she's a nurse.
So I have a good friend 15 years ago who made it to the NBA. I went to high school with him, and when he got drafted by the Seattle Sonics here in Seattle, and he wanted a house on Lake Washington, and there were no houses on Lake Washington for sale, not one. His real estate agent did exactly that. He wrote a letter, and look, obviously he was able to say, like, we have a recent professional athlete here in the city.
Sure.
He's really interested in owning a home on the lake. and they did that. They sent it to like 100 houses along the lake. And then he actually went and knocked on 100 doors too. He found my buddy a house, and he ended up with 2 other listings within the next 3 months out of that group of 100 people.
Well, it's interesting you bring that up, because when we wanted to buy some rentals in Coeur d'Alene, Idaho several years ago, couldn't get any agents to call us back. I didn't even want a referral fee. I just couldn't get anyone to call us back and help us. My sister worked at the title company. I sent out 300 letters. 56 homeowners called me back.
Wow.
And we ended up buying 3 of them because they were, super affordable. Now, in every market, it's going to be different. Some markets are more saturated with marketing, some are less. Point being, though, those letters work to let your buyers know you're doing something on their behalf. And even if that property's not right for them, you may pick up another listing or 2. Okay. Real quick though, Bob, tips on that. It does matter how you send that out. So our clients have experimented and found they don't send it in a real estate envelope. In fact, one client shared with me they used a nice black linen envelope with silver script printing for the address. No return address, not really needed. And don't use a postage meter, even though it's first class. It looks like bulk mail. And our marketing coach, Pete Mitchell, says don't use an American flag stamp because it looks like business. Instead, get the fall leaves or whatever, right? Something pretty. And they think they don't know what it is, so they open it.
Everybody on this call, if you're being honest with yourself, when you go out to your mailbox and you see something that looks a little bit different than everything else, you think, somebody sent me something, right? Like personal. Right. I know I do.
So we want to get them to open it, okay? So let's talk about the sphere. You started us off with that, Bob, past clients and sphere of influence. Since for most of you, even those of you who might be brand new, usually your first deal or 2 is going to come from the people that you know. But we've got to talk to them. And there was some worry in the beginning, like, am I going to bother them? Are they all stressed out? Everyone just wants to get on with life. And yes, we want to be sensitive and start off the conversation with, how are you? Are you doing okay? Is your family okay? Is your business okay? Of course, if they're in chaos and disruption and something bad has happened, we're just going to leave it at that. But most people are like, yeah, it's just, it's so annoying. And I'm trying to do this homeschooling, all this crazy stuff. And you say, well, I won't keep you. And yet I've had so many friends, family, and clients reaching out, asking me, so what's happening in the real estate market? I just wanted to call you today and say, what would you like to know? What questions do you have for me? Now, Bob, what I would advise everyone here to do to make it easier on themselves is to have data prepared. It's too much of a burden to try to speculate on what's going to happen after election and what's going to happen with interest rates. And it's just too tough, and it can get into weird conversations that you maybe don't want to have right now. But instead, if you have data, if you can say, well, here's what's interesting. Inventory is down by 35%. Sales are up by 45%. Average days on market, 16. Average property has at least 3 offers. So you can speak to the data, boom, 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 which is great. And then here's a question. I think, Bob, I actually got this from Ben. He's good at those one-liners. I'm curious, so you always want to soften it. I'm curious, how has COVID impacted your real estate plans or real estate future? Isn't that a great question, guys? So how are they? What would they like to know from you? Give them that data-driven update and say, Bob, by the way, I'm just curious, how has COVID impacted your real estate plans or your real estate future? Now, Bob may say, yeah, not at all. We're happy. We're going to stay here forever. Good for you, Bob. Well,
Debbie, if somebody called me today and said that, I would honestly, what I would say is, my house is closing in on me. I got two
Yes.
little kids. We need more space. That's where
And
I'm
a
at
lot
right now.
of people feel that way. In fact, that's why Ben and I spoke to our coaches in January and said, we have to encourage everyone to speak to the people you know, because whatever they thought was going to happen in the year, or I should say in March, whatever they thought in January they might do or not do, their whole world may be different today. So check in with them. If they're not interested, say, well, you know, in chaos, there's always opportunity. Do you have a friend? Do you have a family member who might like to take advantage of the opportunities in the market that I should talk to? Because of course, we're seeing a lot of move-ups, Bob, just like you. So sure, they may get a buyer referral, but that buyer may have a property to sell, right? So just go into it with an open mind to have those conversations. Don't skip them. Oh, they'll never do anything. Oh, they weren't interested in talking the last time. Just A to Z, call the list and be prepared to have those data-driven conversations. And, you know, best script for contacting them. How are they? What would they like to know? How has COVID affected their plans? Okay.
Debbie, really quick, I have I always want to break this down tactically. You said go A to Z, right? So
right.
Like in my head, if I had 200 people in my sphere and I have 20 working days, Monday through Friday in a month, like I need to call 10 people in my sphere every day, right? And I've just got to commit to getting through that, or I know I'm not going to talk to everybody in my sphere.
Yes, and that's actually what we're recommending, the 10 a day, right? Right now, have 10 conversations a day. And I know that many of you are busy, and yet what is happening right now is most agents are feeding off of the pipeline that was created by the blockage, you know, of COVID, where sure, some deals happened in March, April, and May, but they were significantly fewer. And now some people are still holding back. They don't feel safe with people in their home, especially older people or health conditions. But we're starting to feed off of that pipeline, and it's going to run out. And you don't want that to run out at Christmas, and you have a really crummy holiday season and you dread starting the new year. That's why these 10 conversations a day right now are so important. Let's get ahead of this and let's get some more fuel into your pipeline. Because
Debbie, you know this. If you're somebody that you're too busy to make your prospecting calls, you live on the roller coaster of real estate. You got 3 deals, you got none. You got none, you got 5. You got 0, 0, 1, right? Like, you don't want to live there. You want to figure out how to not be busy enough that you can make those prospecting efforts for your business.
Yeah, and I read something the other day that said people are 50% more likely to accept a meeting via Zoom than in person. Nothing to do with COVID, just because they feel more comfortable, more in control. They can't be pressured. They can hang up and get rid of you quickly, right? So if you want to meet with them, terrific. If you feel safe or social distance, or you can just say to these clients, why don't you have a lot of questions. Would you like to set up an in-person consultation or a Zoom meeting so we can talk through your options and opportunities? And just keep reminding them, I've got buyers waiting. I've got buyers waiting. We have buyers waiting. If you need to sell, if you want to sell, if anyone does, contact me. We may have a match. And Bob, I'm watching the clock. I know we have some questions in the chat box, so we'll go quickly through this and then we'll save some time for them, if that's okay.
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay. Step 3, old leads, cold leads, dead leads, call them. Remember, the same rule applies here. If they were a dead lead, a cold lead in January, may be a whole different situation today. If they were a seller you met with in January who said, I'm going to wait, I'm not going to sell, I changed my mind, it might be a different situation today. Be direct. I'm just calling to check on you. Do you still have an interest in selling your home in 2020? And if so, let's get together. I'm calling to check on you. Do you still have an interest in buying? It's a great time to be a buyer. Interest rates are amazing. When can we get together? So think of it like going through that pipeline with a machete. I'm going to get in there. I'm going to get deep into this, and I'm going to scoop out those next leads for my pipeline. And if they're a bad lead, just not a good lead, they're bankrupt, they don't care, they're not interested, but they're nice enough to you, ask them for a referral. Hey, Bob, I know you're not doing anything right now, and yet maybe you have some friends or family who are. Is there anyone you could introduce me to? Why not, right, guys? We might as well. So as you're looking at each of these people you're talking to, think about who they are. Now, we all know we could sell Bob a house today because he's too crowded, right? He needs a bigger house. His market is very affordable. We could send out some I have a buyer letters for you, Bob, and find you a good one, right?
Well, affordable is a relative term. For a lot of people would see the housing prices in Seattle and think, what? But
Yeah.
for you, our market's affordable.
Yours is, it's all relative, right, guys?
Right.
But see, find legitimate ways to spark urgency. Talk to them about their life. Talk to them about the opportunities. Bob talked about Mojo. You could do the circle prospecting around those letters or for buyers. Go back and run old, expired, withdrawn, and cancels. I know there's not a lot of expireds right now, but there's a lot of old expireds and cancels I have people that are going back 2 and 3 years and contacting these people and saying, dude, you better get on the train here. This is amazing. FSBOs, if you can find them, some markets have a lot of them, some don't. Get in front of them. There's a script we have, and I do see Anthony asking if we have some scripts to share. Bob, I'm going to make sure that Taylor sends you our 80-page script book, which has scripts and matching audio. Actually, guys, I think we did this on my platform, right, Bob?
Yeah.
Okay, so guys, what we'll do is we'll just send it out automatically to you as a gift. So it's 80 pages, it's got audio tracks for each script, and you'll get that in your email today. So if you don't get it right away, check your spam filter, right? So one of my favorite scripts for sale by owner was to say, as a real estate professional in the community, I think it's important that I see all available properties. Would you be willing to show me your property? Well, we're not listing it. Yeah, I know you're for sale by owner. Do you have a buyer? I have a lot of buyers. I won't mislead you though. I don't know if I have a match until I see it. Are you open to showing it to me? Well, if you bring a buyer, I'm only going to pay you 2%. Yeah, I'll make a note of that. See, it's all like blah, 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 whatever. I don't care. I don't need to handle those objections right now. I just need to get in that house. If it's a great house and they won't list, maybe I can sell it to one of my buyers on a one-party show, right? So if you see those FSBOs, go see them. If you have a geographic farm, keep hitting it. Now, my husband's a door knocker. He mails twice a month. He door knocks once a month and drops a piece. He has, of course, not been door knocking during COVID. And here in California, it's not okay to do that yet. Someday we'll be able to go back to it, but he hasn't missed a beat. Mailing has gone out on the 1st and the 15th. And I would say the last 3 months in his geographic farm, there's been more come list me calls than he's had for the last 2 years. So if you have a farm, hit it. It's time to fine tune your marketing. You can, in some areas you can door drop. There are some states where people are actually back out door knocking, door dropping, having open houses. Other states you can't yet, but it'll change one day. Some people have been doing their community connection events. They're just doing it safely, social distanced. If in your community, it may not be appropriate yet. So you can put it on your wish list for the future. Absentee owners, they can be a great target. They may not realize the prices are up. You know, Bob, we do a lot of luxury coaching here and also resort luxury. And it's interesting, you know, we own the property in Coeur d'Alene. I don't get any marketing material at all from agents in the Coeur d'Alene market about the properties we own there. I get nothing. And I would be super interested to get something from them. So those absentee owners, they may not realize what's happening and they might be willing to talk to you, right? So we said every buyer you have, call people from your database. Maybe they have a house that's a fit. And last step, when you're out and about in town, you know, with your mask on, wear your polo shirt, branded polo, wear your name tag. Because guess what, guys? People want something positive to talk about. They will probably stop you, maybe 6 feet away, and ask you, how's the market? And when they do, don't say, it's great. Instead say, you know, it's a very opportunistic market. There are great opportunities for sellers, equally strong opportunities for buyers. I'm curious, is there an opportunity that you have an interest in? And then last bonus step, and we'll answer some questions. We got our clients started this year on virtual educational events. So they're doing move up or downsize, rent versus own, buy an investment. They're partnering with lenders and people who have great people in their database so they can invite together. Average turnout, 5 to 30 people. Conversion, 50 to 90% within 90 days. So, see guys, there's lots of stuff, as I promised you, like a buffet, right? Bottom line, fire the jets on your lead gen, 10x your prospecting, do your 10 calls, 10 emails, 10 texts a day. Let's refuel that pipeline. And then if you have additional questions for me before we go to the chat box, just email me, Debbie@forwardcoaching.com. You don't need to email me to send you the scripts. We already have you in our system because you registered, so we'll make sure we do that for you. But if you say, well, you know, I want to talk about how coaching could help me and how does it work to work with you guys, we have no contract. Everything we do is custom. And anyone interested in working with us talks personally with me. So that's how we do it. All right. So Matthew said he just got his license in Idaho so he can sell in the CDA, Coeur d'Alene, and Hayden market. Great job, Matthew. And you're right. That market is going crazy. Brandy, I don't remember what number 4 was, but we will send you.
Was circle prospecting for buyers you are working with.
Okay, awesome. John is asking how many houses in my husband's farm? 750. And John, normally when he door knocks, what he does is he door knocks 4 days a week. So he usually does, I can tell you very quickly, 750 divided by 16, 47 doors a day at a minimum. He usually does 50 to 75 doors. Sometimes he wants to get through it faster. 75 doors take about an hour and a half because they're, 5,000, 10,000 square foot lots. Let's see, Jared's asking, do I recommend one touch a month to sphere of influence and past clients? I think one mail marketing piece a month is plenty. Quarterly is not enough, guys. There's too many people vying for their attention, but one direct mail piece a month is fine. Then if you were using the Brivity market reports and they were getting that twice a month, which is quality. And then if you're calling through and cycling through at least every quarter and actually speaking to them, that would be terrific. Kevin, yes, I think you should contact other brokers who might be willing to allow you to do an open house for them. Absolutely. Let's see. Have I done tele listings in the past? And oops, I missed one. I'll come back to that. Have I done tele listings in the past and was it successful for you? Well, when I sold real estate for 16 years, we didn't have that option. However, I will tell you that our clients are doing them very successfully. My husband loves them. He said, oh my gosh, this is the most efficient thing ever. And I think the secret to it, guys, if you will, is if you can get an actual package in front of them so they have it in their hand, you may want to ask them, are you comfortable with me dropping off or sending you a package? Would you be comfortable with that, or do you prefer I do that electronically? And you can put PDFs or slides up like we're doing today, and they can see you and you can see them. I would just have a very few slides, your most critical. Otherwise, you might get a little stuck. And then you want to think through, how am I going to get that contract signed? What's going to be that most efficient piece and call to action? John is asking, do I have suggestions for call to action on expireds or farming for listings? So on the call to action, and John, we probably answered that question. I just can't think of a better call to action right now that's more effective than buyers in the pipeline. And the key seems to be, John, that you can move when you choose. Highest price, quality buyer, move when you choose. I'm even seeing people doing multiple bids where they're offering to allow the seller to say 1 week, 2 weeks, a month for free to win the bid. So that seems to be kind of a hot button. Let's see. I'm looking now. Hello, Bill Fields. I see you there. Let's see if we missed anything. I have a question about social media marketing through Instagram and Facebook. I don't see what...
They didn't actually ask the question.
Yeah, there's no question there, but what I will say is that I have many coaching clients, Bob, who are using the Brivity team to do their Facebook ads and to do their, their social media ads. One of them is Ernie Carswell. You can look Ernie up. He's a great client of ours in Beverly Hills, Carswell. Ernie is Katy Perry and Fergie's realtor. He sold the Brady Bunch house, and he was unhappy with his Zillow leads, and he wanted to try the Brivity team, which I think it's been about 4 months.
Yeah.
And he wrote a testimonial. He's so thrilled. He took a $9 million listing. Of course, he's in Beverly Hills, right, guys? And when I was coaching him 2 weeks ago, he had 2 more deals in that price range that they were putting together that day that came from the Facebook ads.
Hey, Debbie, it doesn't matter if you own a $90,000 house or a $9 million house, you're on Facebook.
Absolutely. And so here's the thing, guys. It's ever changing, the algorithms, the craziness of it. What attracted Ernie, I think, is that most Facebook ad companies will take 50% of your budget and keep it, where I think Brivity, it's only 20%.
Yeah.
And many of them have people in the Philippines who have no idea of local real estate writing these ads, where you guys have Grant, who is
we
super brilliant.
Yeah, we work with you to figure out how we're going to target the people you want.
Yeah.
The one thing I would say about just to that question of I'm starting to market myself on social media. Look, you may be trying to do this for free, right? These companies have increasingly made it harder to do it for free. At the end of the day, if you're going to be really successful generating new business, not connecting with your experienced past clients,
Right.
friends and those platforms, but new business, you almost have to be paying. And my question to you would be, do you think you can do it 20% better than somebody that does it all day long and has been doing it for 25 years, right? That's Grant and our team. So if you're into marketing on those platforms, and really at the end of the day, to generate leads, right? Listing leads or buyer leads for your business, we can help do that kind of thing.
Yeah.
I know some of you guys are our clients and some of you aren't, but we'd love to.
It's been great. We have many clients using it, and guys, I don't own any of Brivity. I don't get any part of it. Just literally answering that question there. That's just an easy solution.
Here, I'll give you guys a hint into something you would do if you were on your virtual open house, right? If I was on a virtual open house with you guys right now and I wanted you to take action, which I want you to do if you're interested in Facebook advertising, okay? I would ask you on my virtual open house, I'd say, hey, you're probably watching this with your phone right by you. We've all got it right here next to us. Pull your phone out. So like you guys on the call, Anthony, Fabio, Fabiola, Gabrielle, pull your phone out. If you're interested in our Facebook advertising program, I want you to text the word Facebook to 59559. Mm-hmm. That's an example of what you would do on it. And when you guys do that, by the way, it's going to send you back a response where you can get it on Grant's calendar and go have a conversation with Grant. But that's an example of a call to action that our agents are out there using at their virtual open houses, right? Another thing Brivity has is this text capability. But
so Bob, I got to go. I got another webinar in 30 seconds. Ginger's right. Saying this information has come quickly. Are we sending a link? Yes, we are. And Bob, since I have to jump on my next one, will you do me a favor? Email Taylor.
I will.
Ask her to send
tell her what we
the
promised.
script book. Yeah,
the script book. Get that out. We'll get the recording out to you guys later today along with that script book. So hang tight till the end of the day. We'll get all this stuff turned around and out to you guys. Debbie, get out of here. We'll see you later. Thank you so much.
See you later. Bye, guys. Have a great day.
Everybody else, appreciate you guys. You guys have a fantastic second half of your week, and we will see you all next week, hopefully. Bye-bye, Debbie. Bye. Bye, everybody.